For Joel and Jaron too, and I don't know if you realize it, but Joel is the commissioner of our basketball league that's starting this fall, Elevate. We had a little bit of a glitch that we discovered a day or two ago in regards to us being able to get news out for the league, and realized there are a number of people that we had hoped would be informed that are not quite yet informed on it, and so we're praying that God would continue to fill that league, and perhaps you can help us with that as you pray for that. It's really remarkable. Just yesterday, Beth was downtown and somebody came up to her and says, I know you. You're a part of that church that does that really cool basketball league, Elevate, for kids in our community. So there are a number of people that are just longing to have their kids be involved in it. I think there are some flyers out in the foyer that you can take with us, but would you just help us fill that league up for this fall, that with that unexpected challenge that we face, we want to make sure that we get the word out for people. So pray for that, and if you can help us get the word out, that would be great. I was actually down at Blenders. It's a frequent stop for me. Actually, I really like the place. I have a favorite Blenders that I enjoy, and while I was there was a sign up that said the Elevate Basketball Leagues, and right next to it there was a basketball league, and basketball league for Elevate is $75 a kid based on your generosity in the place that we have here. And the league just below it was like over $300. So our sense is that this is a way we can really serve the community as a whole, and just hope you can help us get the word out on that. So, well, I had a conversation with my daughter just a couple of days ago. She works with an organization in town, and they do chocolate. Have you heard of 24 Blackbird before? Fine chocolate. And they have these events where they have pairings, where they take a particular type or flavor of chocolate and then they pair it with a wine or some other type of drink that just seems to match it. It's like those two things really go together. And I think we all get that. I mean, I had strawberry banana yogurt this week, right? I mean, what doesn't go better than strawberries and bananas in yogurt, right? You wouldn't want to do strawberries and grapefruit yogurt, right? I mean, there are just certain things that work better together, like cookies and milk, for example, right? So you kind of get this pairing ideas, right? There are great pairings, and then there are pairings that aren't so great. And I'm wondering, do you have any favorite pairings out there in the audience? Anybody want to just suggest a pairing that you particularly love? What's that? Bread and butter is a good one? Brie cheese and pepper. Whoa, really good. I like French fries and chocolate milkshake. Right? Yeah, absolutely. You're in on that one. How about eggs and ketchup? Oh, yeah. Have you tried it? No, you haven't tried it. Then don't say it yet, right? I mean, it's kind of, you got to actually try these things and find out, whoa, this is just an incredible pairing. In fact, there's some pairings that are just absolutely unexpected, perhaps like your anticipation of what scrambled eggs and ketchup are going to be like. I want you to come back to me next week and apologize for the comment that you made about that, right? I was asking my daughter about some of the pairings that they have that are going on this fall, and I said, so what were some of those pairings that were just kind of unexpected, because I didn't expect them? And she mentioned things like, this is our text stream. She says, a ginger and turmeric caramel pair with Vietnamese coffee. I have no idea what that's going to be like. And then there's another one, a togashi spiced caramel paired with root beer. No idea what that's going to be like. But listen to what she says next. She says, I really don't think either of these flavors will connect for people, though. Right? I mean, every one of us is saying, no clue. She doesn't think, and she says, it's one of those things where you kind of have to taste it to understand it. Is it possible that there are pairings, like your reaction to ketchup and scrambled eggs, that you actually can't really understand or grasp until you've actually tried them? Well, in Peter's letter that we've just read portion of this morning, Peter actually has pairings there. I don't know if you picked them up or not, but there are a number of unexpected pairings here. One of them is God who is merciful. I mean, did you grow up with a different pairing than that? Did you have the sense of God and vengeful, angry, high expectations, whatever it might be, right? I mean, we some of us at least in this room grow up with those senses. Whenever you talk about God, and if our notion of what our Father was like was broken, it just seems even particularly harsh to be able to describe God with those particular terms. But here's Peter talking about God as Father and merciful at the same time. Now, there's a pairing, and they go together just perfectly. The next pairing is the pairing we talked about last Sunday, and that was now and then. It's this view of heaven, which is then, and its intersection with the realities of now. The sense of both of them actually are a powerful combination. Thinking about today with no thought of heaven as our living hope leads us to fixate on perishable things that drive our decision making. But if heaven is in view and it's paired with what's going on today in our life, there's a sense of wanting to bring heaven to earth, the here and now, to bring the issues, the realities of heaven, the justice and glory of beauty of heaven to the injustice and brokenness of this earth. The sense of recognizing that there is a here and there is a then. And the pairing that those two are together create a powerful combination in the ways we live out our life here on earth. Well, this morning we get to a third pairing that comes out in these first few verses of 1 Peter, and that is that happiness is paired with hardship. That happiness is paired with hardship. I mean, that's what Peter is doing right here. He's talking about this anticipation of this wonderful thing. It talks about this great rejoicing in verse 6. But then immediately the next verses are, the words are this: though now for a little while you may have to suffer grief of all kinds of trials. And you say, wow, I don't think that that's such a wonderful thing. I mean, Joel mentioned that this is one sentence. It starts in verse 3 and it goes all the way through verse 12. And the reason why Peter did this is a reason why it was common in the age and in the context that Peter was in. You would construct these elegant, beautiful sentences that would go on forever because they would become an anthem to a theme. There's a sense of beauty in the sentence. It was an anthem to the theme. And the theme here is God's rescue, God's salvation. And one would say, you mean to tell me that God rescues and I still have to go through hardship and brokenness? We see it here. We speak of this suffering and trials and grief in this place. Well, Peter is not speaking here of life's basic hardship, like the fact you didn't have air conditioning in your dorm room this week. I know that's a hardship. Or poor health that you might be suffering with, or broken people that are around you along the way. That's not what he's talking about in terms of hardship here. He's actually talking about grief and suffering and trials that are a result of the choice to be a follower of Jesus. Peter is saying this, friends, that when we walk through the door into relationship with Jesus, get ready. In fact, you better put the gear on. When I was a kid, we played hockey in an ice rink. I don't know if you realize this, but there's a place in the United States where in the middle of the wintertime, you just take a hose out and you pour it, and it turns to a really magnificent ice skating rink. That's where I grew up, and there would be these just adjacent to our house, and myself and a number of friends in the neighborhood, we would just lace up our skates and get out there with a puck and a hockey stick and a few chunks of ice to be the goal, and we would just go after it together. And it was really fun, energizing time together. But when I was in my 30s, I was a part of a group of guys, and there was actually a hockey league. And I had never played hockey like that before. And I walked into the locker room, and I realized that this was no casual game with friends on an ice rink. I walked through the door and I saw people putting on helmets and face protection and protection on their arms and shin guards and pads and tape, and it was kind of like, we're going to walk out on this rink, but to be ready for it, we're going to lace up those skates and we're going to go after it, and it's going to be dangerous out there. All because I walked through that locker room door, I realized I'm in a completely different game than the one I remember. And I wonder if it's possible for us, when we even just imagine what it is to be people of faith, that we think it's just kind of a fun skate around the ice rink. And Peter's saying, oh no. Lace them up, friends. Because the choice you made to walk through that door to be a follower of Jesus, let me tell you what comes with it. Grief, emotional distress, hardship, aches and pains. Following Jesus is not a casual affair with few implications. It's not merely a new set of beliefs. It's a life of new activities. It's a course of action that sets one life on a certain path. And as a result, there will be, as Peter says here, there will be joy, there will be exhilaration, there will be gratitude, there will be glory, there will also be emotional heartache and wounds and sacrificial choices. This morning we address purposeful hardships and the outcomes that attach themselves to that. So I want to look first of all at these purposeful hardships that accompany those who are Jesus followers. I mean, if you even think about the language around this to say, I'm a Jesus follower, Peter actually lets us know what that looks like. We get just a couple verses down in this passage, and it talks about the sufferings of the Messiah and the glories to follow. We'll get to the glories to follow, but understand this. If we're going to be a follower of Jesus, friends, do you see where Jesus goes with his life? Goes into places of suffering and hardship and difficult and pain and grief. I mean, all of those things that are part of it. So just a couple of bullet points here. One is, don't be surprised by it. Now, the audience that Peter was talking to wasn't surprised by it. We're going to get into chapters 3 and 4, and you'll see, they know what hardship is all about. And in fact, when you look at other places in Scripture, you see that. Have you read Hebrews 11? I mean, it talks about these people who are heroes of the faith, kind of a hall of fame for people of the faith. One of them, or several of them, are described in this way as those who were sawn in two. I mean, there's a list, right? And so Peter is saying to people who are well aware of the difficulties of what it means to walk through the locker room door in devotion to Jesus and to deal with the implications that come with it. So there's a message here. One is, don't be surprised by it, and Peter was saying that to people who are in the midst of it. But for those of us, it's been pretty easy so far, there's another message, a bullet point. It says, anticipate it. Now, this might be more true in other places of the world in different contexts, and some of you may know that story of what's happening with people who are following Jesus in places like India and other places in the world. I mean, it is just heartbreaking. But there's a truth here that transcends even the context we're in. It is, and it will be, Christ following, friends. Lace them up. A theologian who writes a commentary on 1 Peter, Scott McKnight, whom some of you might know, he says this in one section that deals with these verses. While it may not be as much a part of the everyday fabric of our lives as it was when Peter was writing, it should probably be more a part of our lives than it is. Why isn't it? Part of that is we're not dealing with the same issues that brothers and sisters who are following Jesus around the world are dealing with. But another part of it is we know how to avoid pain. We actually have capacities to avoid it, to miss out on it. Do you remember that section in The Princess Bride? How many, Princess Bride? Yeah, good. I asked the whole tech team, and it was all, old folks, young folks. I said, Princess Bride, can I talk about it today? Because we were going to actually show a little video from Princess Bride, but if we do, the simulcast just get bumped off the air, right? So we're going to just imagine this scene in Princess Bride, right? It's Wesley, and Wesley now is, because he's been just shocked and whatever that torture chamber was, he's just been pulled out of there on a cart by Andre the Giant, and he has been dropped off on a bed in the palace, and he is mostly dead. And he's just kind of laying there, and he can just barely raise his arm. And the king comes in, who wants to kill him because he's married Wesley's love of his life. And he knows he has to get rid of the dread pirate Roberts, Wesley. And so he comes in, and he pulls his sword out, and he says, "To the death." Do you remember what Wesley says? To the pain. And the king says, "I'm not familiar with that concept." And by the time he gets done, the guy scampers out of the room because he doesn't want to have anything to do with pain. I don't think I do either. And if it's possible for me to avoid it, I'm right there first in line to avoid it. And yet here it is. Peter is saying to those of us that have decided to be followers of Jesus, we will live a life to the pain. There it is. Right there. Here in this text. You say, no. Yes, listen. Let your friends know that you will refuse to lie about that thing you did, and see where that leads. Find out the reduction of the number of friends in your life because you say, "No, I cannot perpetuate something that's a fraud." Step aside and let others flourish. Just step out of the limelight and just kind of sit there and watch them receive the glory. Because it just seems like the right thing to do. And notice the throng of people that flock to someone else rather than to you. Stand with the marginalized. Those that are scorned, those that are ignored, those that are treated unjustly. Go ahead and do it because that's what Jesus did. And find out where that leads you. Embrace community with messy, broken, demanding people. I mean, you make that choice and you find around you a company of people that are just not always easy to live with. In fact, they might cause you emotional distress and grief. And yet you say, "I am a part of this community. I'm a part of this family. I'm a part of this relationship." Do hard things that are hard. Where you're unappreciated. Even the thing that might be unproductive. It might wear you out. It is absolutely costly. It takes you to the pain. Keep commitments. Here the actions that Peter is referencing have to do with money. He's talking about gold that perishes through fire. Well, actually it doesn't, but he's saying it's perishable. It doesn't last through past this life. I mean, the way you treat money, handle money, protect money, whatever, and then God says to us to be absolutely liberally generous with it. And the things we lose because of what we've sacrificed or offered over. To follow Jesus is difficult. Okay, now here's the pairing. Purposeful hardship, Peter's saying, pairs with certain enduring outcomes. There are enduring outcomes that come with it. Now, generally speaking, we know this to be true, right? We know that purposeful hardship results in enduring outcomes. Our 3 daughters played the strings when they were young. They were string players. They were in youth symphony, and they just kind of elevated up as they just paid attention to their instructors and the demands that were part of practicing. And they went through school orchestras. One of our daughters played in the Westmont Orchestra, and I imagine there are probably some string players out here. But in the early years, I remember one of my daughters in particular, she's standing there, and I'm just trying to be with her in her emotional distress over the piece of music that she has been assigned. And she says to me, "Papa, it's just so hard. I don't like it. It's just so hard." And I said to her, "You know, one of the reasons why it's so hard is because when you master it, it will be so beautiful." And she developed a capacity to play double stops and harmonics, and beautiful sounds came out of that violin, of 2 strings pieced together, of airy, high-pitched accents in a beautiful piece of music. And you know what? It was hard. You see, we know this to be true. There are challenges that are worth it because the results are beautiful, the results are uncommon, and the results are notable. And Peter says, purposeful hardships that we embrace because we walk through the door of being a follower of Jesus are worth it. In fact, we will celebrate in the end. We know this in our lives. Everyone in the room gets this, right? You might know it from your experience in athletics or in education or in relationships or career skills. Peter says that it's also true in regards to our faith. This is also true in regards to our faith. In fact, in verse 12, it talks about the angels here. It's interesting to hear the commentaries that are talking about this. One of them says this, that this invitation that God gives us to live in purposeful hardship is the opportunity to live a life so magnificent that the angels who are close to God long to be where we are. They long to fully understand, to fully experience, to fully comprehend what it means for us to be fully human and living in the midst of the suffering and the grief and the trials of life. They envy us. Why so? Well, there are several things that are mentioned here. One is this in verse 7, we will know glory. It says, we will know glory. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even refined by fire, may result in praise and glory and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. I have to say to you, I've read that over and over again, and I've always thought I do this, I experience the pain, and God is glorified. Actually, people who have looked at this text in the original language, they have actually said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's attributed to God, that praise and glory is given to God. It is most likely that the reference here is the praise and glory that we receive. In fact, as we track our way through Peter, we see it over and over again. In chapter 2, verses 19 and 20, Peter talks about God's commendation of those who are followers of Jesus. In chapter 3, verse 9, it talks about God's blessing or goodness or richness bestowed upon those who endure the battles and the torment and the difficulties. Our inheritance that's imperishable is God's goodness to us. It talks about the Messiah's suffering and glory. And then Peter says, and so for us there will be suffering and glory. There will be God's voice from heaven at the end of it all. And he says to you, friends, as you follow Jesus through the trials, through the suffering, through the grief, he will say to you, well done. Well done. I mean, there may be moments before that when in the midst of our life we just feel that sense of just the gratitude we have that we've endured so much in the way it's shaped us. But friends, there will be stories we carry into heaven where we haven't heard well done yet. Oh, but we will. Those choices you've made, the ones resulting in enduring grief in your life, well done. Those choices where you have gone unnoticed or disregarded or scorned, well done. Those choices you have made and no one has ever even noticed. God's voice to us in this is saying, he will say, if only you could hear him saying it now, I see what you're doing. I see your choice to choose kindness, to choose grace, to choose endurance, to choose sacrifice. Purposeful hardship, enduring outcomes. That's the first one. God's gift to us of well done.
and the glory that is a part of that, and the praise that is a part of that will accompany our home going to heaven. And then there's a second aspect of this, and that is clarity that we see here. We live with clarity. We see this in verse 9 and following, but it talks about you're receiving the end result of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Now, the word soul here is Peter uses, and it can be used, there are words that you have multiple meanings to it. And the word soul is one of the meanings. Sometimes we think of soul as the enduring thing that actually lives on after we die and go to heaven. And there's merit for that. But what Peter is saying right here, the way he is using the word here is different than that. Peter is referencing another iteration of the use of the word soul, and it is talking about this internal command center. It's the part of us that makes life's most important decisions. It's the core of our identity. Peter uses it in John. Actually, Peter uses these words in John chapter 13. He offers his soul to Jesus. He says this, I will lay down my life for you. The word life is actually soul. This is what Peter is talking about here. The salvation of our very being. That God actually changes the choices we make in the midst of the trials that we're accompanied by. And as we make those choices, we discover God's beauty and refinement and clarity and goodness. Every facet of my life is refined by fire. The imagery here is metal ore that is heated to the point where impurities can be separated and the pure metal remains. It is gold and nothing else. After the fire has subsided, we look at what's left and we say of it, there is nothing here that doesn't belong. And that's what God wants to do in your life. To refine you, to work on you in such a way that at the end of it, you'll be able to say, there is nothing here that doesn't belong. Just the beauty, the genuine nature of faith that actually is the gift of emotional heartache and trials and suffering. Just see, Jesus is purposeful in what he does. He knows the beauty of what can happen when we embrace the hardship that is a part of this landscape we live on. Glory, clarity, and then joy. This sentence, this 10-verse sentence, rings with joy and celebration. Now, I want to just say one thing and then wrap it up. And next week, we'll talk more about some specific elements about what this might mean in terms of some of the specific decisions we make in our life. But I want to just get this sense of the terrain of how we're going to navigate the challenges of life. You could say, Mark, I want the joy, I want the inexpressible joy without the heartache. So you think, well, let's do this. Let's imagine that, boy, when I watched the Super Bowl and the Chiefs won last year, they were pretty happy, weren't they? I mean, they were just all over the place exuberant. So let's just do the same thing, okay? Let's have a Super Bowl party for us tomorrow night, okay? And in order to make this feel real, if you've got a Chiefs jersey, you just come and wear it. And we'll assign you each roles. Who wants to be quarterback? Offensive line. You just come in and you wear the numbers, or you just say, you come to the room and you're going to act like you're that place, that person. And we'll find something that at least looks like a Super Bowl trophy. And we'll just march around and it will just be an absolutely joyful celebration. And you say to yourself, Mark, if it's going to be real, you have to go all the way back to training camp. And you have to walk through all of the hardships and the challenges and the ups and downs that accompanied training camp, preseason, game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, all of the ups and downs, and that's why they celebrated at the Super Bowl. You see, you walk through the challenges, and the result of enduring it with the Spirit of the living God accompanying us along the way is at the end of all things this, yes! So, you going to put the uniform on? lace up the skates, walk out the door. There is purposeful hardship, friends. Define it. Embrace it. Live it. Inexpressible joy. Would you pray with me? Oh God, you are just amazing. Just reading through this text, it's so real and so much like our life and filled with hope. Lord, I pray now that you would just work in our hearts and our heads and our lives in such a way that we be able to put on the uniform, walk into the places that you call us to, and endure and celebrate and survive and thrive. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I love the idea that lasting joy is not possible without hardship. And I think the same, to see the goodness of God, to feel the goodness of God, the true goodness, to really experience it. That we're able to see it more within the hardship of life. That the light and dark come together to create the beauty that we have in our life. Would you stand as we sing the goodness of God? Remind ourselves that God has been faithful in the hard times, in the good times. Running after us. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after. Sing that again, your goodness. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life life you've been faithful. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I will sing of the goodness